Hi guys, thank you for joining us on this Wednesday. For those of you who are new to our masterclass series, although I'm pretty sure I recognize all of your names at this point, my name is Chloe. I'm the video editor here at Jazz at Lincoln Center. In just a minute, we're going to join saxophonist and vocalist Camille Thurman for a celebration of some of jazz's double threats. That's iconic instrumentalists who are also influential vocalists. After the lesson, Camille will answer some questions from you all. As normally at that time, I'll jump back in and explain how to do that. In the meantime, if anything comes up, if you'd like to shoot me a chat, go ahead and do that. And feel free to use the comment section on Facebook as well if you're watching there. That all being said, I will turn it over to Camille Thurman for this masterclass.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining me. I'm Camille Thurman and I have a treat for you today. We're going to feature double threat musicians that function as vocalists and instrumentalists. Since this is one of the things that I happen to do, I figured let's give a whole hour paying tribute to so many great artists that started that tradition for me to follow and hopefully will inspire others to follow too. So we're going to hit it off. The first person is going to be Lil Hardin Armstrong. She was a pianist that was also once married to the great trumpeter Louis Armstrong. And she was a pianist, a composer, an arranger, a singer, and a band leader. And I have a really cool video of her that features also Mae Barnes, who's a vocalist and drummer, and also Red Allen on trumpet and Buster Bailey on clarinet. So give it a listen and check this out. Uh-oh. Here we go. So the reason why I picked this video was because I love the interaction between Mae Barnes and Lil Hardin And especially when it gets to the part where they're trading and May starts scatting. Now, Mae Barnes was actually a dancer. And the cool thing about Mae was that she had such a great concept of rhythm. So this was done, I believe, in 1962. So you get to see and hear how it comes together, her understanding of rhythm, but then also her being a singer and dancer, and also her ability to musically receive, but also be the person that's being proactive with the rhythm and the melody and scatting and interacting. I mean, this video is so much fun to watch because you just can't help but smile. It's just exciting. Also, one thing I wanted to point out about this video is that Red Allen on trumpet, he was actually known for doing a little dibble-dabbling with some singing as well. And I actually have some video of him. So I'm going to pull that out for you right now just so you could hear. Now, the key thing to understand, I think what makes people that sing and play so special is that they have an understanding of rhythm, a real strong understanding of it. And in this case, Red is playing trumpet, and trumpet's such a percussive instrument. So you can hear how when he solos, that carries on into how he plays carries on into how he phrases and sings the melody. So this is Henry Red Allen. I hope you like it. Let me know.
Thank you. Well, here's another title, Rosetta. Pick up on it. 1, 2, 3, 4. In my heart, dear, there's no one but you. You told me that you love me, you'd never leave me for someone new. You made my heart a dream. Yes, I prayed that you'd make it come true. Ah, Rosetta, my Rosetta, please believe me, dear, that I'm the one for you. Come on. that I'm one with you. You told me that you love me, never leave me. Someone, you made my heart a dream. Yes, I prayed that you'd make it come true. Yeah, Marsalis, please believe me, dear, that I'm the one for you.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop it right there. Okay, so I'm gonna stop it right there because it's gonna go on forever and ever. But what I love about Red is you can hear the relationship between how he sings. Like Rosetta, he has like a vibrato at the end of his note when he holds. And you can hear also when he plays trumpet, he kind of does it in the same way too. But then also what I love about him is how he phrases the melody. It's very similar to how he plays when you listen to him solo. So I just love this recording because also he reminds me of Pops so much. And actually, he came from Algiers, Louisiana. So, and he was around the same time as Pop. So it makes total sense of his singing style being very similar to Louis Armstrong. The next person that I'm gonna show you today, now this one is one of my favorites also because it features Dizzy Gillespie and Carmen McRae together. And Carmen McRae is one of my favorite all-time vocalists, but a lot of people knew Carmen as a vocalist, but not necessarily as a pianist. And she was incredible. I'll never forget, I did an interview of Harold Mayburn, and we spent some time talking about Carmen McRae, and he was saying how he was scared of Carmen just because she had such versatility on the piano and her knowledge of harmony, as well as what she did as a, for comping, and then also being able to sing on top of that. She was just a dynamic person who I personally feel was just as equally as great pianist as she was a vocalist. So this is a video of her and Dizzy playing on a song that I'm sure you will recognize. And here we go.
This is the end of a beautiful friendship. It happened a moment ago. This is the end of a beautiful friendship. I know, 'cause your eyes told me so. We have always been just like sister and brother until the day when we went for each other. And that was the end of a beautiful friendship, and just the beginning of love. Yeah, yeah, John. We have always been just like sister and brother until that day we looked at each other, baby. That was the end of a beautiful friendship and just the beginning. Only the beginning. Shibba-ba-doo-doo-doo. Shibba-doo-doo-doo-way. Ah, yeah. And it was the beginning of love.
I'm sorry, I'm like fangirling here because how often do you get to see that Dizzy Gillespie and Carmen McRae playing together, but she's singing too. And what I love about this recording, you get to hear how Carmen accompanies herself, which I think is something very special when you play an instrument, or particularly a piano, which is a chordal instrument. The ability to be able to comp yourself is an art. Just flat out in general, to be able to comp behind a vocalist, that's an art. But to do it for yourself, that's like an inside understanding of how you sing and being able to support what you sing. And what I love about this video is that you really hear how Carmen uses space, but she also uses rhythm with the chords that she's comping herself with, but then also even how she's phrasing. Carmen has a tendency to sing a little behind the beat, which I love because she's able to stretch that lyric and phrase in a way where it kind of like it floats over time. And you get to hear also a perfect example of Dizzy playing obligato or tailing her or adding lib. And it's perfect because they don't get in each other's way. Carmen doesn't get in the way of herself singing and playing, but then also Dizzy, he respects her space too as a singer and as a player, and being able to give her just the right amount of music to accompany what's happening in that situation. That's just an incredible video that I love. If you have a chance, check it out again and look at those things. Listen to it one time, just listening to how she's comping, then listen to how she's singing the lyrics, but then also take another listen and listen to how Dizzy is playing around that effortlessly, but also creating this beautiful space for this magic to happen. Now, this brings me to my next video, because Dizzy was also known for singing too. If you've heard the song On the Sunny Side of the Street, especially on an album with Sonny Stitt, The Internal Triangle, you get to hear that. And he has an incredible sense of rhythm when he sings. But this video, I'm not even going to tell you who's going to be on it, because when I found it, I flipped out and I was like, whoa, I didn't even know they sung together. So this is Dizzy Gillespie, and I want you to pay attention to the two styles of the trumpet players, because you have Dizzy and you have trumpet player B, I'm not going to announce, and they come from two different eras, but you get to hear them juxtaposed together in this rare situation where you hear melodically and rhythmically how they're coming from two completely different time periods in the music, but they're still each holding their weight, and it sounds so good and so current. And then of course you get to hear the singing style between these two trumpeters. So without further ado, this is Dizzy Gillespie on Umbrella Man.
The umbrella, don't make no noise. Bring your parasol, it may be small, it may be big. Even pass them all with what you call the thingamajig. The matter,
okay. Let's
try and just share your QuickTime app.
Okay. Let's try this again. Okay. Sorry about that, everybody. Here we go. Is that better?
The umbrella, don't make no noise. Bring your parasol, it may be small, it may be big. Even pass them all with what you call the thingamajig. The batter, it looks like rain. You'll mend your umbrellas and then go on the way. Singing a little llama to the lake, a little llama to the lake. And the umbrella will take you there.
Did y'all enjoy that? I'm sure you did. Here we go again. Here we go with technology. I'm so sorry, everybody. I pressed stop and then it went again. Anyway, I'm sure you enjoyed that. Once again, like I mentioned, you can hear Pops, who comes from an earlier period of jazz, next to Dizzy, who's coming from the bebop era of jazz, and you hear stylistically how they're slightly, they have their differences, but at the same time, when you hear them scat and go back and forth, it's beautiful because you hear that lineage and that history. And then also what I love about Pops, he's coming from the operatic arias that he used to hear when he was a child, but then you hear Dizzy coming at it with his bebop language. But it's just so fun watching the two of them because you just see history literally coming together in front of your eyes right there. Now this next piece I'm going to play for you features a bassist who also happened to sing, and he, let me see if I could pull it up really quickly for you. Ah, here it is. He was particularly known for being able to sing an octave above his bass. Now, I heard recordings of him singing and playing, but this was the first video and audio that I ever seen and heard him actually singing out front. And it's beautiful because it's with the trio, and it features Beryl Booker on piano, Slam Stewart, the featured artist, on bass and voice, and also John Collins on guitar. So this is a song called Oh Me, Oh My, Oh Gosh. I hope you like it.
Oh me, oh my, oh gosh, I can't stand it, wear and tear. Ooh, golly, oh gee, well it must be that I'm just nowhere. Oh me, oh my, oh gosh. Pretty, apple so temper for clouds. Ooh, golly, oh gee. See, I was so beautiful, possible now. Till morning, noon, and night. I can't even put up a fight. Is that right? Oh, whatever you're trying to prove, baby, do you think that's right? Hardly ever see you from dawn till dusk, not even from dusk till dawn. If push comes to shove, when a must is a must, one day you're gonna find me gone. Oh me, oh my, oh gosh, I can't stand it, wear and tear. Oh, golly, oh gee, well it must be that I'm just nowhere.
Okay, so we had a lot happening right there. We had Deke Watson dancing in the background, if you didn't notice. And we also had Big Sid Catlett sitting on the drums. And what's really cool about this clip is that it came from a movie called Oh Boy, What a Girl, and it features Slam Stewart's trio. And the funny thing is, I actually went to school, well, college up in Binghamton, New York, and we happened to have Slam Stewart's bass in our jazz band room. And I didn't know until I went to college that he actually ended up, you know, living out in Binghamton the latter part of his life. That's just a little anecdote. But anyway, if you listen to how Slam is singing, his sense of time is just so free and open. But the trio, they're playing with this killing swing and groove that just is irresistible. You can't help but pat your feet because it feels so good and it's grooving hard. Even though there's no drums, but you don't even miss it because the rhythmic sense is strongly there. But then the way Slam is singing, he's pulling back some of he's hanging on the latter part of the beat and how he's singing, and he's phrasing it in a way where it like kind of almost like, I keep saying Sarah, almost like Carmen, it floats. So if you get a minute, just check this recording out again, close your eyes, and just listen to how Slam, he's phrasing it, because it is like he's floating. And also he's got in there a little bit too. You can hear how he's rhythmic, which is really cool, because you don't really get to hear Slam Stewart's guy like that. So that's Slam Stewart and his trio. Now the next video I want to play for you is a woman who actually celebrated a centennial this year. And I love and admire her dearly because she was such a great pianist, but she was also an incredible vocalist too. And during that time where she was around, she had a heavy presence in not only just in the music world, but she was also in the film world as well, creating and breaking down barriers. And her name is Hazel Scott. I want you to check this video out. And it's cool because it features Charles Mingus on bass and Rudy Nichols on drums. And you get to hear her rendition of A Foggy Day. Here we go.
Hello there. I'm Hazel Scott. I'd like you to meet the members of my trio. We have Charlie Mingus on bass and Rudy Nichols on drums. We'd like to do our version of A Foggy Day for you. I was a stranger in the city, out of town were the people I knew. I had that feeling of self-pity, what to do, what to do, what to do. The outlook was decidedly blue, but as I walked through the dreary streets alone, it turned out to be the luckiest day I know. A foggy day in London town had me up and it had me down. I viewed the morning with much love. The British Museum had lost its charm. How long, I wondered, could this thing last? But the age of miracles hadn't passed, for suddenly I saw you there, and in foggy London town the sun was shining everywhere.
Okay, so the same thing with Hazel Scott and Carmen McRae. You have a unique situation where the vocalist is accompanying himself. And with Hazel, you can hear, particularly in the beginning, how she starts out rubato. And the lyrics are painting the story of what's happening, the verse before the actual song. And in a way, it's funny how she colors the story harmonically with what she's saying at that time, the sound, with the voicings and with the choice and chords that she uses, which I think is pretty neat and artistic, because it's like you have an inside understanding of how you want to paint the picture of what you're singing. And then also, I love watching her play, particularly this part, because for pianists who are trying to figure out how to support a vocalist and play rubato, that's an excellent example of how the space works, the time works. Some vocalists, when they sing up front and choose to do a rubato kind of thing, for the pianist, it's an act of understanding how to anticipate, but then also how to back off. And she's setting the tone for herself, because she's setting that pace and accompanying her and giving herself the space, but then at the same time pushing it along, but then at the same time cutting it back when she needs to. So if there's any pianists out there that's trying to figure out the art of accompanying, check out Hazel Scott. She's an amazing pianist. And then also, of course, when she starts the song and she's singing, she's just incredible. She's an amazing, when it comes to comping, she's incredible, but then also when it comes to improvising, she's fantastic. And then of course, she just seamlessly comes right back in and takes out the song. I think when you're singing and you're playing, it's an interesting task, because you have to keep the momentum of the music always going. So you always have to know where you're going, but then also where you're coming from at the same time while it's moving. And it's just interesting and beautiful to watch people like Hazel and of course Carmen see how they develop the song and telling the story and taking it somewhere and letting the music evolve, but then also beautifully at the end coming to some sort of resolution. So this next person I'm going to play for you, many people know him as a vocalist, but not many know that he was, aside from being an incredible vocalist, was a great valve trombone player. And he goes by the nickname of Mr. B. This is Billy Eckstine. Now, this video right here is very significant, because Billy is not only playing and singing, but if you look in the band, you see a lot of the jazz musicians that were the cats during the bebop era that were creating this beautiful music and at the cusp of it being formed were in his band. So you'll hear a great solo by the great Frank West, and then you'll also see the awesome Art Blakey playing drums with this big band. So here we go. This is Billy Eckstine, Lonesome Lover Blues.
Gee, but I'm lonesome, feel like I wanna cry. Gee, but I'm lonesome, feel like I wanna cry. I miss my baby, I will till the day I die. I walk round in circles, don't know just where to go. I walk round in circles, don't know just where to go. I wonder why did she leave me, how could she hurt me so? Lonesome, gee, it's an awful thing. Lonesome, gee, it's an awful thing. When you can't have your baby, you don't want anything.
Billy Eckstine. Now, there's a quote from Dizzy, and it reads, "There was no band that sounded like Billy Eckstine's. Our attack was strong, and we were playing bebop, the modern style. No other band like this one existed in the world." Billy was such an incredible and important figure in jazz because he created and gave a space to so many young musicians to develop the music we call bebop. And also, he was a trendsetter. He was a fashion icon. His voice was rich and had a full operatic sound. He was a baritone. So when you really listen to other recordings that he did, you can hear that richness and how he's able to understand and interpret the lyrics in a way that makes the music literally, I guess you could say, sing, for lack of a better word. This next clip I'm going to show you, because I know we're running out of time, features a lady that he actually worked with and had a very huge influence on. And she is one of my favorite vocalists of all time, but she was also another vocalist that didn't get the same, quite the same recognition for instrumental playing as she did for singing, and her name is Sarah Vaughan. Now, this piece is a video from 1978 in Prague, a concert that she did. And Sarah was known for occasionally getting up in the middle of the concert and leaving the front of the stand to go to the piano. And this is one of those situations where she's doing that. And this is her playing Once in a While. Let me know if you like it.
Neposuďte sami. Děkuji vám.
I'm going to play piano.
Teď budu hrát na klavír.
Don't leave.
Neodcházejte.
Please don't.
Prosím, neodcházejte, dejte mi šanci. Příležitost.
No, Oscar Peterson.
Nejsem sice Oscar Peterson, ale...
Once in a while, will you try to give one little thought to me? Knowing you think of me. Once in a while, will you dream of the moments I shared with you? Moments before we two drifted apart. In love, smoldering embers, one spark may remain, but if love still can remember that spark may burn again. I know that I'll be contented with yesterday's memory, knowing you
what I love about Sarah is that she has such control, and her range is enormous. She can get to the peaks up here. She can also get to the bottom, and her sound is always full. Doesn't matter what part of the range of the voice that she's using. And then also you hear in that video how beautifully she's accompanying herself. I know we're out of time, but I'm gonna play one quick one because I can't end this session without playing this person. There's so many people that I had to filter through for this list. I didn't get to feature everybody today, but just to throw some more names out there. Check out Louis Jordan. He was one of the great saxophonists and vocalists of his day. He was what you consider to be Beyonce today. That's how big his status was back in the 40s. He had a band called Timpani 5. He had a hit called Caledonia. That was him. Check him out. Also, if you get a chance, check out Kenny Durham. There's a song that he sung on called Since I Fell For You. And it's an incredible tune. And that was the first time I ever heard Kenny sing, and you definitely want to listen to it and give it a listen. Also, Valadia Snow, she was a trumpeter and vocalist. She was ahead of her time, traveling all around Europe in the 20s, performing everywhere, singing and playing. And in fact, Louis Armstrong, he called her, actually, no, he gave her a compliment, and she was known as Little Louis. And she was called Queen of the Trumpet by W.C. Handy. So give her a listen. And also check out Grady Tate, a phenomenal drummer and vocalist. There's a piece he does called My Funny Valentine, which is one of my favorites, which features Sonny Stitt, Hank Jones, and George Duvivier. Check it out. Clark Terry, we all know him as Mumbles. There's some great footage out there, him mumbling, all of that. Check it out. And then, of course, there's so many others outside the idiom of jazz. We have, Aretha Franklin. We have Ray Charles. We have Kenny Rogers, who I found out played bass along with singing. The list goes on and on and on. Of course, Nat King Cole, he was on this list. I didn't get to feature him today, but there's some great videos and recordings of him playing and singing with the King Cole Trio. So I'm going to end this session before we open it up for questions with a saxophonist who inspired me. And what I loved about her was her style, her confidence, her wit, but then also her strength. She was deeply drenched in the blues, and you could hear that when she sings and when she plays. And she has such a grace to her that took command and required people to listen to her skill. This is The Great by Red. Here we go. This is a video of her hitting with the Count Basie Orchestra. You're gonna love it. Here we go.
Stormy Monday, but Tuesday's just as bad. Talking about stormy Monday, but Tuesday's just as bad. You know that Wednesday's worse, and Thursday's all so sad. But the eagle flies on Friday. Saturday's my night to play. If I'm lucky, the eagle flies on Friday. Saturday's my night to play. Sunday I go to church, kneel down and I pray. I say, Lord, have mercy now. Lord, have mercy on me.
have any questions?
Yeah, I hate to cut this off because I'm having so much fun, but but yeah, guys, I do think we should maybe take like 10 or 15 minutes to open it up to questions if you guys want. For those of you who don't know how to do that, just click that participants tab on the bottom of your screen and hit the raise hand button. That way you can talk to Camille directly, and I'll unmute you so that you can ask your question. If you feel more comfortable putting your question into the chat, I've opened that up now, so you can type your question in the chat if you'd like, or any sort of reaction you had. I'm seeing a lot of love in here already, as well as on Facebook. So if you are watching on Facebook and would like to ask Camille a question, you don't have to be on Zoom. You can just type that question right in that comment section, and I will try my best to get to you. Do we have any brave souls with the first question? Everyone's just saying how much they've enjoyed this on Facebook, Camille. You got people from Canada, from Mexico.
Yeah.
From San Antonio. Questions, guys? Don't be shy. All right, we got a question from Marcy. Hey, Marcy.
I sent a private request to Camille, and now I'm going to go public to everybody.
Oh.
Would you play and sing a little bit for us? This was such a wonderful class. I'd like another class of all of this. Oh, good, you have your horn right there. Oh, wonderful.
I had Camille.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Okay. You'd be so easy to love, so easy to idolize all others above, so worth the yearning for, so worth to keep every home fire burning for, and we'd be oh so grand at the game, so carefree together that it just seemed quite shame that you can't even see your future with me, 'cause you be oh so easy to love. So easy to idolize all others above, so worth the yearning for, so swell to keep every home fire burning for, and we'd be oh so grand at the game, so carefree together that it does seem quite shame that you can't even see your future with me, 'cause you'd be oh so easy to love.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Just beautiful. We loved it. We loved it.
Any other questions?
No, we're going to end it right there.
Oh.
No, thanks for asking that, Marcy. All right, let's take another question from Les. Hey, Les.
I'm unmuted. Oh, Camille. That was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And so good of you to do the homework assignment that Alexa assigned us on Thursday about singing 4 bars, playing 4 bars.
Well, there you go.
And That was really, really incredible. You're one of the great inspirations to my female saxophone students. Thank you so much for all of your work and a well thought out and researched presentation.
Thank you.
I came in on the second, well, I don't know if it was the second, I came in on the Red Allen, so I don't know if that was the first or the second, but if you did or did not cover Nat King Cole, would you make a comment, or I have a kind of a question, would you think that perhaps, as we all know, a one-of-a-kind vocalist, but also an amazing jazz pianist. Yes. So my question is, do you think perhaps his piano playing got in throughout, as history looks at him, maybe got outshadowed, which would be easy to do with, you know, the immensity of his vocals, got outshadowed by his vocals, and wondering why he didn't play more throughout his career, although he did on his TV shows somewhat, but never really went back to the same level of playing just piano trio?
You know, that's a great question and a great point that you brought up that I wanted to touch on, but we ran out of time. There were a lot of vocalists that were great pianists, but for some reason at that time, being a vocalist was pushed. And then also you got to remember too, all the great songbooks that we know about, Cole Porter, George Gershwin, all those books were being pushed. And these singers had great opportunities to introduce this music to the world, but then at the same time, many times it came at the cost of them not being able to push their own compositional projects and also not being able to push their career and being a pianist in addition to being a vocalist. And I can't remember where exactly, and I don't want to misquote, but I do remember reading somewhere, I can't remember which artist in particular, but that was a real issue that some of the artists struggled with, not being able to showcase playing in the same light as singing, because particularly for women, they wanted, not them per se, but management or whomever was managing the career wanted to push and showcase more of them singing. Now, Nat King Cole was a phenomenal pianist, and there's tons of videos out there of him playing. In fact, I was going to play one for you featuring Wesley Prince on bass and Oscar Moore on guitar. But the legend has it that his career as a vocalist started when a drunken bar patron demanded that he sing a song. But Cole himself said that this fabricated story sounded kind of good, but he didn't argue with it. He actually said that there was a customer one night that came to his show demanding that he would sing, but because it was a song he didn't know, he sang Sweet Lorraine instead, and he became known more for singing because people started requesting him to sing more and more at his gigs, and that's how we became knowing Nat King Cole for being Nat King Cole, the phenomenal vocalist. But yeah, he unfortunately didn't get the same attention that he deserved. And if you listen to the recordings, even while he was doing all the television shows and all those great recordings that we know him for, he was still playing on an incredible level. So that should always be recognized with him.
If he never opened his mouth, he still probably would have been one of the great piano players.
Yeah.
But who would have thought a one-of-a-kind voice? Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Sure.
Thank you, Les. All right, let's take a question from Yasmin. Give it a second, Yasmin's just unmuting you. There you are.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, nice to see you again. Hi. So this question is kind of for everybody in the group as well as you. Since now we've been in a very coronavirus, everything's mostly online now, especially a lot of classes, what programs would you recommend for vocalists that just want to continue their education within the jazz world that you would recommend that's like a really good one? Since it's not just New York, because last time we talked about New York.
We did. Well, this is the perfect time for everybody, including musicians. I mean, we're all sitting home because we don't have any work for the rest of the year. Everybody that wants to study, there's so many resources available. YouTube, I pulled up so many videos just for today's class. You get to see the artists in action, but then also you get to hear them and you get to see the exchange between them and the band members. So study a lot of videos, check out as many recordings as you can, and then also read some autobiographies. They'll give you some great insight to the artists and their life and what was happening during the time that the music was being produced, but also the backstories, and also you'll get to know the relationships between the musicians as well as the dynamics of what was happening socially for that period in history. So use this time now to study as much as you can, and of course, reach out to musicians. There's tons of great master classes and clinics out there. Jazz at Lincoln Center has, of course, an amazing resource of master classes and workshops and clinics, but then there's also tons of artists out there today that are giving online master classes too. So reach out. Tons of resources.
Thank you.
Thanks, Yasmin. Yeah, the Jazz at Lincoln Center Jazz Academy page is on YouTube is actually a great resource. If you just look up Jazz Lincoln Center Jazz Academy, there's a bunch of videos and lessons on there that I highly recommend. We actually put these master classes on that page as well, if you want to go back and watch. Okay, we have a question in the chat from Ali. I want to get to as many as possible. Yes, can you talk a bit about scat singing? How did you learn it? Can it be taught? Does it have any rules?
That's a great question. Well, how I learned to scat was literally just listening to the records and trying to mimic what I heard as close as possible. The key to scat singing is not everybody scats the same. We're all made differently. We all have different voices. We all physiologically are different. So what might work for one person might not necessarily work for the other person. What might work for Ella Fitzgerald might not necessarily be the syllables that work for you. So you have to be comfortable with figuring that out, finding, I guess you say, finding your tongue, finding what works for you. How can you clearly get the syllables out in a way that still makes the music speak, but at the same time is musical? For me, I was transcribing a lot of Dexter Gordon when I was 14, 15 years old. And I didn't realize that I was perfecting my scatting by listening to his music, scatting the solos, and then figuring it out on my instrument. If you play an instrument, that's a great thing to do, transcribing, because you're forcing yourself to internalize the music through scatting, and then you're transferring it to your instrument, and you're perfecting the speed of being able to listen and get to it and find it. Vocalists is also a great skill to the language.
We lost you for a second. You want to repeat that last sentence?
Scat, you have to learn the language. Scatting is not random syllables. Everything has a purpose and a meaning for that moment in time in the music, and you have to be able to understand those relationships and hear how they have to do with what's happening with the bass, what's happening with the drums, the piano, and the horn players, but then also understanding how to be proactive and reactive in the band setting. So I know I said a lot right there. I'm trying to figure out the rest of your question, but that's the best advice that I could give to you.
Great. Yeah, the rest of the question was if it can be taught and does it have any rules?
Yeah, can it be taught? Well, you could teach yourself. The records, I can't, emphasize anymore, are the best teachers. Listening to Ella, listening to Sarah, listening to John Hendricks, listening to so many other incredible vocalists, but then also checking out the musicians. I had a great clip of Clark Terry. Check him out. Check out Dizzy Gillespie. It's good to get a perspective from both worlds, because from the instrumentalists, you get to hear how they vocalize in music and how they interpret it, but then also you get to hear the vocalists like Ella Fitzgerald and John Hendricks interpret what it means to them and how they synthesize the music. Also, do some history. John Hendricks played tenor. It makes total sense why he's doing this while he's scatting. There's also a legend and a myth. I don't know if it's the truth. I'm looking for it still. But Ella Fitzgerald played harmonica. I'm sure that had something to do with her ears and being able to understand the relationship between the melodic notes and how to play and sing. Well, sing and using her voice as an instrument. But the information is out there. It's just a matter of sitting down and receiving it and giving yourself time to dissect it. And as far as rules, the best advice that I would give you, learn all the rules before you figure out how to break them. You can't scat without understanding form of the tune or harmony or the blues or any of those elements that create this great music we call jazz. So do your homework.
Great. Well, it's 10 after 5, so I think we're out of time. If anyone has a final question and wants to maybe type it in the chat, we can try to get to it while I do my final spiel. But I just want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank Camille for doing this. We have, as usual, so many things coming up for you guys: masterclasses, conversations, Q&As with Wynton, live performances every week. The next Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra Masterclass is going to be this Friday with Elliot Mason. Elliot will discuss trombone technique and best practices, and he'll share some of his insights into how to improve facility on his instrument. Again, that's Friday, June 26th here on Zoom and also on Facebook Live, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. As always, you can check out our upcoming events and concerts at our online hub, jazz.org, and also on social media, Jazz Lincoln Center on Facebook, jazz.org, spelled out on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks again to everyone for being part of the community. If it's within your means, please consider making a donation. This is a tricky time for us here at Jazz Lincoln Center. We are a nonprofit, and it's a tricky time for a lot of artists. So I hope you're doing what you can to support the artists that you love. Here at Jazz Lincoln Center, we continue to be committed to enriching, entertaining, and expanding a global community for jazz, and we're so grateful for everyone being a part of us during this tricky time. That's all I have. If we don't have any final things, I'll just turn it over to Camille. Oh, we have a quick question. Maybe we could try to get to this from Facebook.
Sure.
This is from Kevin. Kevin wants to know, what was your journey as a composer and arranger? How did you get started?
Listening to a lot of great albums. I fell in love with Hubert Wall's album on CTI called In the Beginning, and he had some great compositions and arrangements on there. Also, I love Chick Corea. My favorite album was Return to Forever, Light as a Feather. And of course, checking out so many other different composers. I think the best thing, and I guess it goes for anything, whether you're trying to learn how to scatter, you're trying to learn how to compose or be a better improviser, listen to the things that you like and take the time figuring them out. Take baby steps. For composing, it's endless. There's so many amazing people out there with repertoire that's just incredible. Benny Golson, Kenny, I just was listening to him last week. Darn it, my brain is freezing. But there's so many people out there, and it's just a matter of take a listen to what you like, jot down what it is, and then try to come up with your own. Make your own standards. If there's a song that you love, try to figure out what makes that song great. How was that song put together? And then break it down and put it back together, making your own. I think that's the best way in figuring out your voice. Finding what it is that pulls you in, but then figuring out what those rules are, throwing those rules away, and then embracing the process of you figuring out your own artistic voice, be it a composer, instrumentalist, or a singer.
Awesome. Thanks for your question, Kevin. Thanks for watching. All right, I'll just turn it over to you to say goodbye before we have to head out.
Sure. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. I really, really hope that you enjoyed the class. There's so many other instrumentalists that I didn't get to feature and vocalists, but please use your resources, go online, check them out. There's tons of people that deserve to get that love for being double threats. I hope to see you soon. Stay safe, wear your masks, and take care.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Thanks, Camille. See you soon.